you made it. Welcome aboard. I am so glad to be here with you. I've taken a little break from doing shows, and I'm so honored and excited to have with me today Greg Yawakia. Greg and I did a show, it must have been about 8 months ago, and he has become a dear friend and a wonderful mentor as well. I'd like to read you some of his bio on his website. And in case you didn't know, Greg Imsum Yawakia is a native medicine man of over 50 years from the Zuni Pueblo and a lead elder of the 12 Southwestern tribes. Greg is a renowned teacher, traditional practitioner of Native American medicine. He studied at the University of New Mexico and continued graduate studies in New Mexico State University. He has traveled to various countries, teaching knowledge, alchemy, and other modalities. Greg also conducts various healing ceremonies as well as protection and cleansing. And he also offers a mentorship program, which you can see his website will be at the bottom of his photo. So let me bring him in. Hi, Greg.
Hey, how you doing, Brandy?
Good. Thank you
Good,
so
good.
much for coming back and spending time and sharing information. One thing that I didn't mention to our audience is that today we're going to be discussing how to remain grounded during turbulent civil unrest. It seems like the world is going cuckoo out there. And so I wanted to get your insight and your opinion and guidance on how one can navigate through these crazy times.
Okay, well, I'm glad that is one of the messages I am trying to send out to as many people as I can because right now, again, as we're saying that we are going through a lot of turbulent time, and it's to a point to where my partner and I we don't even have cable TV anymore. We have
Mhm.
we have a television, but it doesn't have cable hookup or anything to where we don't get local news or anything like that. If we get any kind of news, it's usually 2 or 3 days later. But anyway, um, I guess what we are going through, I'm gonna step back a little bit about and go into what I call the Hopi prophecy, third hand shaking. And one of the things that third hand shaking, the main title of it is Third Hand Shaking Hopi Prophecy. And the key word to that is shaking. Why shaking? Well, when you shake somebody, what are you doing? You're waking them up. You're awakening them, not only physically, but they're looking more spiritually. So, you know, being in the spiritual realm since at a very, very young age, you know, I have I can now look and see actually what is going on and what the elders have been sharing their knowledge about what's to happen that's gonna that's coming into play. And so in that video, the Hopi prophecy, third hand shaking, they talk about transitioning from the animal cycle to the human cycle. And so we talked about, the elders and I, we really, when we talk about now and what's going on at this moment because we try not to
Greg,
get, all right, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. May I ask a question or may I interrupt you
Yeah, go ahead.
quickly? I just wanted to know, can you give us a little bit of background on how you became involved and how you started communicating with the elders and how it was that you became so spiritually aware or awake? I think in fact, I know that we went into it a little bit on the first broadcast that we did, but can you just give a synopsis as to your introduction to the Zuni elders and how you began your training with them?
Oh, okay. Well, it started back when I was at the age of 3. At the age of 3, my parents went out pinyon picking, and I went with them. And I guess I fell asleep in the back of the car, and they just got out and went to the tree underneath and started picking piñons, which are pine nuts that we collect during the fall. Well, I got out of the car and I wandered off a different direction. And by doing that, I was missing for 2 weeks in the woods. And when I was found, I was not dirty. I was not hungry. I was clean, well taken care of. 2 weeks later. And so they were trying to figure out what happened. But anyway, the man that founded me, he belonged to a society of a medicine group. So he said, I'm going to be his godfather. I will teach him the medicine way in a spiritual life. So from the age of 3 to the age of 7, I had conquered death 3 times. And so when he got notified that I conquered death on my 3rd time, he said, I got to talk to my group. We got to save him right now. We got to start training him before we lose him. So I said, okay. So my grandma said, okay. So I got my training started in 1969. That's when I got started my training about to become a spiritual and traditional healing. I was not taught any modalities because modalities are gifts that you receive. So I was not taught modalities. I was taught protection and how to cleanse myself and protecting myself, because when you are become a healer or a medicine man, whatever you want to call them, shaman or whatever, you are dealing with the dark. So when you start dealing with that, you got to learn how to protect yourself, got to learn how to cleanse yourself. You got to understand who your protectors are, what protection are out there, and your relics. You got to understand what they are. So as time went on, I kept being busy about being trained, and one of the things that I was trained to do was fasting, and I could not figure out why fast, because I was fasting according um, to the full moon cycles every month. 4 days before, 4 days after, it don't matter. But right on that full moon, I will be fasting for 4 days every month. And so as I went on, I was taught about 3 things: vibration, frequency, and energy. You know, and frequency is a cycle, which basically helps your vibration. Sometimes we get little muddled in our vibration, and we just kind of get in a rut about it, and to where we just stay in the same place. Well, if you fast your frequency in the cycle, frequencies come in cycles. When you fast, you get back into reality of saying, wait a minute, you're here for a reason. And this is where you start receiving whatever the higher realm wants you to do. And so you go into there, and by the time your 4th day of fasting, you feel sanctified and you're ready to go at it again, and you want to learn more and study harder. And there's a lot of things that I have learned about raising your vibration. And this is what I guess, got me started with the elders. And as I went on in life, I use what I learned and I survive with what I have learned in life, because as I left home when I was 14. And right before I left home, one of my elders, who I really, really respected, called me in, and I said, okay, he says, I gotta give you this message. And I said, okay, what is it? He said, you know why you are over and beyond what we are trying to teach you? I said, I'm not. I'm not over and beyond you all. And they said, and he said, yes, you are. And I said, tell me why. He said, because when you was a child, when you got lost in the woods, you were abducted. And I said, okay. He said, as time goes on, little by little, your memory is going to pick it up of what happened when you got abducted. And the funniest thing is that I think it was this week
Do
or
you have
last
any
week.
memory of that?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
well, I was going to say this past week, I don't remember what day it was. I woke up and my partner and I, we like to share our dreams in the morning over a cup of coffee. We share our dreams. And she says, "Well, how was your dream? Did you remember your dream?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Well, tell me about it." And I said, "It's kind of strange." And she says, "Why?" I says, "I was taught how to use medbed in a ship,
Wow.
and I said, and I'm trying to see if that was a dream or that really happened. I to a point to where I kind of, why am I dreaming? Why am I? But and what I guess what started it was her birthday, and I always tease her about, all right, if you have to go and all that, I'm coming with you,
Mhm.
and you're driving the spaceship. I'm not, you know. And so I was teasing, and when her birthday came, I told her I loved her, and but you are still driving the spaceship. Is what I put on our birthday on her birthday picture. That both of us have a picture together, and I put on there. I said, "Happiest birthday, but you're still driving the spaceship." Is what I put on there. And I dreamed of. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I dreamed of or they took me up there to show me, and I could still recall every little detail about what I did, and everything is
Wow.
so about frequency and energy, vibration.
Do you remember like what kind of ship it was? Like if it was from a specific star system?
I don't recall
Well,
because all I remember is I was in a like not really a hospital, but like in a like a clinic, and there
wow.
was a patient laying there, and they said, "Okay, here, this is what you need, but is your energy is strong enough you can do it?" And they gave me some object. They said what they didn't give to me. They said you pick that up, and you palpate the body, you scan it, and as
Wow.
you scan it, it'll tell you you know where it's gonna where the person needs help with the body.
Hmm.
He said so I went and I would see that I would feel like a pull on that object. And so I said okay, and I would just like rub it all over it. And I've always been taught that when you get rid of the dark, first of all, you don't have any hidden emotions when you help people. You got to get rid of all I believe that's why, you know, I catch every culture that I can get people's attention on. One of the things that is that, you know, Jesus' commandment. When you take a gift to an altar, if you have some kind of a business that you have not completed with your brother and sister, leave your gift at the altar, go take care of it, then come back and give it to the altar with a clear conscience. Well,
Yeah.
that's what they call a hidden emotion or deep root, emotion, meaning that whatever you have negative thoughts about things, you gotta put it, get it out, get it out.
Yeah.
And so, I was doing that, and I was just, and anyway, they taught me how to use that mid bed, and I woke up and I was really puzzled. Why? Why? I mean, because when I do energy healing, you know, when I do, psychic surgery, when I do bone healing, or stuff like that, these are the gifts, that people says, how do you do it? How do you? I say, when they say you raise your vibration, the first three chakras, you know, root, then it comes into the sacral, then it goes into your solar plane. Those three chakras are earthly chakras, before you get to the heart chakra. And
Mhm.
in a native way, it's west, which is Mother Earth, connecting. West, spirit, water. Water is spirit. North is fire, energy. That's mind over matter. When you start working on yourself on these and you go into the vibration, which is transformation, and when you get into that mode, you see things, you do things that are unexplainable. So when people ask me, how do you do psychic surgery? Over 55 years of doing it, I don't know. I can't explain. I mean, I have done it to her because usually if I grab it, I have done it to where this one lady was so, open minded about things. When I grabbed it and when I opened my hand, she saw it come out of my hand. And she went,
Oh, wow.
how did that happen? How did that? What kind of magic is that? I said, it's not magic. I did not move my hand. When I grabbed it, opened it, I did not move my hand. It was in front of the camera the whole time. You saw what happened. I didn't. So how do you explain that, what you saw? Tell me, explain it. And then that way, maybe I learn how to explain when people ask me how I do it. Because to this day, I don't. I know I don't do it. It's when I connect to the higher source and Mother Earth. I'm just a vessel. So I don't know how it happens, but these things are, like I say, are unexplainable. And so raising your vibration is very, very important in right now, because when we're going into the human cycle, which is AI, artificial intelligence, it is so vast and so fast and so quick and hard that your mind is going to go into that. Your mind going to go sucked into that, to where what it is doing is it's taking the spiritual part out of your life,
Mhm.
you know, because artificial intelligence doesn't have a spirit. It doesn't have a spirit. And when people say, why? I said, because understand one thing, that artificial intelligence, you may look at it as being the smartest thing in the world and the whole 9 yards, but understand who created it? A human mind. We can be that powerful if we choose to.
Yes.
We are that powerful when we choose, and which goes in to what we talk about, what we teach about meditating, meditation. Meditation, when we teach about meditation, we do, the meditation where it's in the present moment, you know, not worry about tomorrow, not worry about what happened, but be at the present moment. Mindful meditation, because that's the present, that's now, and again, in the Bible, it says, do not worry about tomorrow, for it hasn't been here yet. You're not guaranteed. Don't worry about the past because you can't bring it back. Live for the moment, is what Jesus said. So and the reason why I use him as an example of that is because that's about the only person that people nowadays can connect with. If I start talking about Thor, Apollonius, Solomon, they're all divine master. Hare Krishna, Buddha, you know, they're going to say, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't know. Yeah. So most people have heard about Jesus, but they haven't heard about Apollonius. Apollonius was like, he was before Jesus. He went out, he was healing people, raising people from the dead, but he didn't get recognized. Solomon did the same thing. Solomon healed
Mhm.
the sick, raised the dead. Thoth did that. You know, look at Isis. Isis did that with her husband, Osiris. Put it back together and bring back to life. But see, even in our native way, you know, and this is where a lot of people, faith, or spirituality is missing because, to live a spiritual life, it's different. You don't worry about what's out there like we are, a lot of people are. We worry about
So,
self-sufficient.
may I ask a question
So
about that? I have two, and I'm sorry I did interrupt you earlier when you were talking about the Hopi
that,
um, prophecy. So I'd love to circle back around to that. But one one thing I just noticed that a lot of people are struggling with, or maybe it's just my immediate, um, how is it that being centered, being mindful and balanced within our own self, how does that, I'm just going to bring up some like some triggering topics, but like some of the things that are going on in, like, let's just say the Gaza Strip, or let's say some of the things, the polarizing things that are happening here in the United States. You brought up, before we got on, we were talking about martial law. Like, these are very extreme social incidents, if you will, extreme. And oftentimes, I personally see and feel that it feels like you want to, like, how can you not get upset? How can you not want to fight or stand for what's right or be an advocate for something? How is it that we're helping the incident, the situation, the drama? And I'm not saying it's dramatic. I'm not talking about a soap opera drama, but these are very
yeah.
heart-wrenching situations, or even the shooting that we were discussing a little bit today. How do we help by being centered, by being mindful, and being embodying our spirit selves and being in connected with the earth? How does that benefit what's happening out there? I think that I
Well,
know, but I just would
how?
love your insight and opinion.
Okay. Okay. My how I help personally help what is going on out there is, first of all, I don't connect with it. Social media is out there to fearmonger you. I don't
Mhm.
allow them to fearmonger me because my spirit is strong. I'm not. Yes, it is a concern of what they're doing out there and everything, but my responsibility right now is myself, my connection, my mission, and all this. So, also, how we can help is you are a mirror of an image of yourself. What it means is that how you present yourself to other people, how they see you from the outside. You don't see yourself, but how the people see you. They're gonna, and how your energy is vibrant, how your energy is loving, how your energy is so kind. That's what they're missing. They're attracted to that. Then they're gonna come around you. Then they're gonna say, and by your action, by your mirror image, you might change them. But you don't go out there. It's like you don't go over there and condemn them because there's been you know, no, you don't do that. Your mirror image will speak for itself because you are presenting Mother Earth and the higher source within you. You are the vessel. Your Trinity is Father, Mother, and you. So you basically representing your creator and Mother Earth. Mother Earth is nurturing us. Father created us. Father is present around here. All these little creation we see, that's Father. Mother is nurturing what Father created, the plants, the trees, and all that. And why is our grocery bill $500 when we can
Yeah.
go out to the piece of land and grow it for free? Yeah, it's a little labor, but why can't we do that? So again, with all these things going on, how we reflect to the people, how our spirit, energy, how we connect it, showing the people that's what they want. That's what attracts them. And so,
And I feel too, how I see it also is that when we're in this state of peace and we're emanating those frequencies, those vibrations, I mean, some of us are so strong. Yourself, I'm looking at, I feel like as your energy emanates, like you said, as you're mirroring out the peace that you have inside, it might just like whoosh, like go right over the darky magoos, and they might get a sensation of this love without even being in their presence. I feel like when there's pockets of people that are just all pissed off, sorry, but they're just like, and I'm not saying it, it's, I feel like oftentimes our ego is attached to the emotional reaction that we have to certain situations. It's almost an egoic response versus a spiritual response. And I feel like when we're embodying peace and calm and focus, oh dear, sorry.
so
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but
I'm
you're
sorry
agreeing.
about that.
No,
Okay, I'll fix this. What's going on? While I fix this, if you just want to keep going, but I agree with everything that you're saying. I'm going to fix my camera,
okay. Well,
and
we'll go in
so
one step further about how we mirror ourselves, and that is that when we when we meditate, a lot of we meditate in our own different ways, and when I meditate, I put out there my energy as to what I I am asked to do, or what I see needs to happen. I put it out there. When I meditate, I tell people, "Do you pray?" And people say, "Yes, I pray, I pray, I pray." I say, "Well, when you verbally pray, you're talking to yourself. Why? Because I said, because the universe does not listen, does not speak Zuni, English, Spanish, whatever language you talk. The universe does not speak that, but the universe understands your frequency and your intentions. And so when you pray, you know, silently, pray with your intentions and pray with, why, you know, it is needed for what reason. Because praying, again, communicating with your father or the universe or your source, whatever, it's all, again, like I tell people, telepathic. Because, you know, we don't go there, and we don't I don't speak Zuni to them. They don't speak Zuni to me, or they don't speak English to me, or all that. But, you know, because one of my experiences on one of my death was that I actually went to the portal of the higher self into the next realm. And when I got there, everything was so peaceful. There was love everywhere. I mean, the vibration was so high that I could see air, like in wind, and I could see the movement of air. And I said, wow, I could feel love, like if somebody touching me. And when I feel that, when I felt that, I said, man, this is great. And these beautiful things that I saw, there's like bunch of them just everywhere, flying around everywhere. And I said, what are those things? And they looked at me and they said, well, those are messengers. I said, messengers? They said, yeah, they're like angels. So my natural thought was that I thought angels had wings, halos, and all that. And they said only when they go down there, and when they pointed to where they were talking about, I looked down that portal that I came through, and I saw Mother Earth just peacefully spinning. And I said, why? He said, because that's how the person or the people's image of an angel is: white gown, halo with wings. But they actually look like that. And again, I cannot describe that angel that I saw because I know it was beautiful. I felt it was beautiful, but I couldn't describe it. People say, well, what did they look like? What? That's hard to describe. I was in such a high vibration that, you know, it was there, but I can't I can't picture it. I can't draw it. I can't do anything because I know what my mind felt or what my energy felt and all that, but you know, and I don't know if I looked the same when I was up there because my body was down here on Earth, and I went through the portal. The energy did, and but they said you need to go back, and I said why? I like it up here. I love it up here. I said no, you need to go back. It's not your time. And I said, well, another thing, human mind came to play to where it says, well, when people die and experience, if this is heaven, what does the Father want me to do? Go back to be a preacher, evangelist? I'll do whatever he wants me to do. He said, go back. And I said, do what? Nothing. Nothing. And right away, my mind thought to religion. I said, I've never read the Bible. I don't go to church. And Father wants me to do nothing. And they said, follow the gospel. And I said, wow, follow the gospel. What is the gospel? So when I came back, believe me, I was researching what gospel was. And all the gospel was to be like Christ-like, meaning stay connected, stay grounded, because people don't realize how much Jesus meditated, how much he fasted, and how much he prayed, to stay connected. And all that stuff that he did was him saying, I'm the vessel. And he gave us that authority. He gave us the authority to do the same, to be like him, to be Christ-like. He said, be Christ-like, not be him, not, all this, but again, being in the spiritual realm, I just have to say, okay, my mirror image would have to really, really come out. And so, you know, then you have to look at the other side. You got, with your mirror image, people look at you and they say, wow, 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 I want to be like him. No. Tell them, no. You don't need followers. You know, you don't need followers. You just go do what you got to do and move on to the next. I left home when I was 14. And I keep telling them, one day I'm going to come back. One day I'm going to come back. Well, that's over. That's over 50 years ago. Maybe I'll come back one day. Maybe I'm ready. I don't know. But I'm still going. I still got to go. I mean, Uh, you know, we're everywhere. My partner and I were everywhere. We went from East Coast to the West Coast and back for what, about a year. We did that, and wherever we were led, we went. We learned, we shared, and we kept on going. We didn't stop, and now we came back and we says, well, we need to find a permanent place, but now we have a different thing of teaching now. Sharing, not just by teaching, but experiencing, experiencing the knowledge that we have, the gifts that we have, you know, and these are things that we need to stay above with. You know, don't worry about what's going on out there. Yeah, it's going to be crazy, but you know, if just stay to yourself, stay connected, you know, understand who your protectors are too, because believe me, they do come around. They're trying to mess you up by coming around, but know your protectors. Call upon your guys, who they are, and you know,
So, um, will you talk a little bit? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Will you talk a little bit about the Hopi prophecies that you were speaking on a moment ago?
yeah, okay. The Hopi prophecy, third hand shaking, is basically telling the people about the going out from the animal cycle into the human cycle. The animal cycle is the easiest way for me to explain it is that when you take an animal out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, and drop them off, they're gonna learn. They know how to survive. They're gonna be able to hunt and survive, and they're gonna be able to stay warm in the and create a shelter for them to where they stay warm and whatever. They know how to survive out there. But right now, if you take somebody out there to the woods and drop them off out in the middle of nowhere and says, "Now you find your way home," you think they're going to survive? No. So that's their survival because they use the four stones, which is the four colors, which is red, black, white, and yellow in the medicine wheel. Those four stones, when the coming out of the underworld came, those four stones, they have I guess oral history tells us that, a lot of people used to say that Earth used to be flat Earth. The reason why they have that concept is because even the natives said that at one point in this Earth, we were one big island. And these four colors that we have, which is red, black, white, and yellow, were the four skin colors of the world. And at that point, if you're red, you're native. You're not Zuni, you're not Hopi, you're not Navajo, you're not Lakota, you're not Sioux, you're not Cherokee. You were native. That's all it was. And same thing with the white. If you're white, you weren't German, you weren't Frenchy, you weren't Sweden, Swedish, Czechoslovakia. You were just white. And with the yellow, you are not Tibetan, you are not Chinese, Vietnamese, and all. You are just yellow. And then black. When you're black, you're black. You're not African, you're not Jamaican, you were just black. So at one point, all four colors lived in one big island. And then as time went on and they didn't get along, the island cracked and it started separating. And I believe, as they say, the scientists say, that's the continental drift. So with the continental drift, when they push, if you put the continents together, it becomes one big island. And that may be, again, to go back in history, that may be the Atlantean that Thoth was talking about in the beginning. It was one big island, then they say it sank, but it broke apart. And that's why Thoth went to Egypt, went to Greece, went to Rome, and all that. Even came to South America,
Yes.
Central America. That's why. But that's my hypothesis. I'm not saying it is or what, but again, that's why the Hopi prophecy says those four rocks that went out are coming back in the changing of this animal cycle to human cycle, because maybe that 31 Atlantis that is coming might be like the meteor crater
Okay.
that hit the Yucatan Peninsula, and the natives went under the four underworlds in Grand Canyon. And it wasn't just the natives, because
Mm-hmm.
according to Powell, early explorer in the 1800s found a hole in Grand Canyon, went in it, went to the first floor, and saw an Egyptian village that could have housed about 5,000 people. And when he came
Wow.
out and got some relics and came back out, went to Smithsonian, wanted some more money so he could study more into it, they said no, and they told him, leave it alone. But in the early 1900s, Kincaid, explorer Kincaid, went in there again and saw the same thing and did the same thing, but then he got debunked again. But he wrote an article in Arizona Republic in 1903, I believe, is when he wrote it. But now that place is barricaded by the government, no fly zone, nobody coming around close. If you go around there, they know who you are. They'll come after you and they'll get you and they'll ask you, what are you doing here? You have no business here. And they'll escort you out when you get close to
And
it.
weren't there some emerald tablets that were there? I was told that there are some pieces of, or the actual emerald tablets are actually found
One of the
in
emerald
those tablets.
tablets, the closest
Mhm.
one was in the Mayan temple in the Yucatan Peninsula. One of the emerald tablet was in there, in that Mayan temple.
Hmm.
So that's, and then of course you go back into it. The Cahokia mounds, they're finding some Egyptian relics, you know, and
Wow. I went
like that
in
and then
when I
that
was
one.
in,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
sorry. No, please forgive my camera. My other camera just went out on me, so I'm using my uh another camera, and it's not the best. My webcam just went out. So I won't mess around with it right now because it's distracting me. But I would like to share that when I was in Mexico, I went to Chichen Itza. There's one temple there, and I think it's in the Jaguar Temple. And if you go in and you look all around, there are images that predated Columbus, I mean, ancient, and they depicted Egyptians. They depicted people from like Vikings. They depicted um, Aboriginal people. They depicted images of cultures all around the world. And the man that was there said that they were using time travel and traveling through portals and traveling around the world. And so that's why there's those images there on, which was just fascinating to me. Um,
Well, on the time
mhm.
portals, yes, there are some, but I know of one, but you know, I don't tell people when I take them over there that is a time portal, because curiosity gonna kill a rat.
Yeah.
I told a friend one time, I said, whatever you do, you know, do not go over there, open your arms, because you know your negative entities will be sucked out. He said, "Oh no, they're with me all the time, they're with me all the time." It happened. He tested it, and all the dark entities that he had in him got sucked out. He came back crying. I said, "What's wrong?" "I lost my friends. I'm not powerful anymore." I
Oh,
said, "Well, I told you. I warned you." And I've taken people over there, and I said, "You really want to feel your spirit? Close your eyes, stretch your arms out, and whatever happens, happens. And don't think about anything. And when they raise your arms, lean, put their head back, I got pictures of them levitating.
Wow.
And then when they come back, I said, "Wow, what happened? I'm relaxed. What happened? I am energized. What happened?" I said, "You levitated." No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Show them a picture of
Wow.
them. They go, "Wow, really?" You know, and but
So, do you think as we begin to engage and become connected and kind of get to know our spirit bodies, do you think that we're going to be moving into these superpowers or um, our telepathic abilities? Do you think humanity in and of itself, do you feel that we're, and some people use the terms ascension, some people use the terms like their frequencies are increasing. What side effects do you think come as we begin to expand and grow into our spirit bodies and engage with these aspects of who we truly are?
well, I'm glad you asked that question because that is one thing I really wanted to point out. But now that you asked that, as you ascend your vibration and going into the light more, being enlightenment, as they would say, the mystic law of the higher, as you go ascend up, where there's light, there's dark. The dark, like right now, you listen to the
Yeah.
social media, look at the news, they fearmonger you to where your energy is down. They
Do you
fearmonger you to
believe that
where,
there are energetic parasites that are actually trying to conjure up those frequencies and those vibrations and feeding off of us? You know how some people they referred the term loosh. It's a term for the all the maybe like negative frequencies or negative energies that our bodies emit when we're unstable and imbalanced. Do you believe that it's intentional and that there's beings feeding off of that, or do you
well,
think it's just kind of like a
yes, yeah,
natural?
it's very, well, it's like everything else. One of the things that my elders used to cringe about is when the space shuttle goes up in the sky, or Apollo or the jets go up into space. The last one I saw coming down was when SpaceX went to go rescue them people from the International Space Station. When he got up there, he
Yes.
got those people, and they came back down and splashed down in the water and everything. The elders used to say, "There's no telling what kind of germs, parasites, or whatever got on that spaceship." And when he splashed on the water, rather than checking it out to see if there's any kind of crazy, parasites or any kind of germs or anything that we don't know about that is on the spaceship, rather than disinfecting it, they picked it up and put it on the ship and brought it in. And what are they doing? They're exposing it to everybody that's on the ship and those ship to everybody else everywhere. They don't take care of that. So when you start ascending, and that's why when I tell people I can, I'm gonna use the chakras, and I like this picture that my partner drew. See this bottom one,
I love
the
that.
bottom with the person on the bottom. That is your first three chakras. That, yeah, see right here. This is your first three chakras, and this is your next one, the fourth one, and this is your five, six, seventh chakra. The seven main chakras in what I used to use, which is on the medicine wheel. It's your elemental squares, which is your south, west, north, and east. South, west, and north are your chakras that are in the prayer contest. I am, I feel, I do. And then you go, once you take care of yourself, know who you are, connecting. I got to know who I am before I can connect to Mother Earth and to the Creator. And once I can do that, I can start working on my spiritual side, which is west. Water is spirit, and how I can connect my spirit to my physical body. And when my physical body and my spirit connect together, and then comes my mind, and my mind is more powerful. So when my mind, body, and soul, when they connect together, that goes into the fourth fourth chakra, which is transformation, vibration. And vibration starts on the third chakra, which is north. And that's where things are going to start happening, to where when you when you start thinking about it, when you know who you are, I am, and you go into the I feel, which is your spirit, and you can feel your spirit both physically and spiritually, and you can connect with that, and you connect into your higher self. You are transforming into a better person, to where you are ready to go into transformation. Because once you go into transformation, you are a different person. You don't worry about the 3D realm, even though when you go in it, you know how to navigate yourself through it, to where you don't become a part of it. You stay higher and above the 3D realm, to where you get there. Then once you get into your heart chakra, you go into your esoteric chakras, which is your throat, your pineal, and your crown. And those, meaning esoteric, meaning that's where things starts happening. The higher things, which is, you know, shape shifting, psychic surgery, and you start in your pineal gland, your vision. You got your direct, your peripheral, and your power of observation. So once you learn how to work with all those three, that takes you into remote viewing. And once you get into all that, and once you learn about the esoteric realm of the three chakras, the final one is preparing you into the astral chakra, which is, you know, the higher realm, the cosmic womb, as it is on the medicine wheel. It's the cosmic womb that's taking you up, that makes you realize that, we are all connected as one. And by meaning saying that, also, we are all connected as one, because a divine feminine is a circle with a dot in the middle. And a circle with a dot in the middle in alchemy is a symbol of gold. Divine feminine are gold, because when the people back home, the religious society, start arguing with me about leaving out the divine feminine in the kivas and all that, and I say, why? You look at a kiva. A kiva is shaped in a circle. You come up the ladder on the side, and you go in it right in the middle of the kiva. That's how you enter the kiva. Now, you get an overview of it. It's a circle with a dot in the middle. That's gold. That's a divine feminine. And that dot in the middle, if you put a circle, start from top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and you do a circle and find that dot in the middle, it's your navel. That's how you were connected with your mother. And your mother was connected to her mother to their mother, to the big bang. That's our connection to the divine, physical connection to the divine. And that's how we are connected. We are all connected that way. And even in the Bible, Jesus was asked about the Father, the Creator. Will we ever see him? And his answer was, I am in the Father is in me. I am in you, you are in me. The Father is in you, and you are in the Father. So we are one at one point. We are this image of our Father in a creation sense. So, you know, that's that's really how, when we raise our vibration, you know, all the dark wants to do is steal their essence in this physical realm. That's all they want us to do, is steal our physical essence. But we got to understand that all these negative attacks that we get, we have our guys waiting to come help us. They're like hovering over us. We just have to call upon them. You got to learn how to call upon your guys to be protected. And once you are protected, you got to acknowledge their protection is powerful and that you are powerful than that dark, because there's a lot of ways you can expose the dark. When you expose the dark, it gets weak. So, you know, when we're getting our vibrations up, yes, you got to learn how to cleanse and protect yourself. Even if you're a healer, learn how to cleanse and protect yourself, because when you're healing, you're dealing with the dark. Everybody is created to be a healer. You just have to open up your heart, open up your mind, open up your energies to really understand the purpose of it. When I share the knowledge about raising your vibration, I don't I don't do any changes in people's modalities. That's your way. You know, I may have a different modality. My modality may not be as good as yours. Yours may not be as good as mine, but we're not here to compete. We're here to serve humanity, people. So, because of us being service provider, this is what we need to be aware of. So, I know I answered your
And
question.
may I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Do you feel that all of us have these capabilities? I know that you said that each of us will have different modalities and different gifts. Do you think every human has the ability to embody these gifts?
Oh yeah,
And
we
maybe
already
I'm,
we have them. You just
yeah,
gotta like wake them up. You know, it's
yes,
in you. It's
yes.
in you, and I can show you a
And
couple of exercises. Okay, what I do, when I tell people, when you ground like a tree. And they say, "What do you mean ground like a tree?" Well, a tree is standing straight up in the air, and its branches are up in the air like this, right? Well, when you raise your hands up like this, take a deep breath, and what comes through your hands? Try. You can open your hands wide open like the branches,
Mhm.
and take a deep breath, and you feel that universal energy come down your body. And so all you're doing is when you ground and do that, you are nurturing Mother Earth. You are helping Mother Earth, because we are bringing the universal energy from this solar galaxy for Mother Earth to nurture up, because Mother Earth has brothers and sisters, other planets that are out there that they all like to exchange their energies, but we as spiritual beings, we can raise our hands up, take deep breaths, and bring in that energy, nurturing energy to Mother Earth to rejuvenate her, to heal her. That's why we have to raise our vibration by meditating to help heal Mother Earth. The other one
yes,
is that,
yes.
yeah, the other one is that,
You
how
brought
you
up
know
a,
you, huh?
sorry. I'm
Are you,
so sorry. I just love that perspective, Greg, that you brought up. You mentioned it in a video I watched also this week. I apologize for interrupting you, but I just want to interject and just point out that that is just such a slight perspective, because usually we're connecting with earth in order to ground ourselves. Or if we feel like the earth needs to be healed, we're addressing quote unquote environmental topics, or we're looking at environmental issues, or things that are outside of ourselves. So I just want to reiterate what you just said. It's so important for us as individuals to draw in the cosmic, draw in the divine energy, divine frequency, where our bodies are a vessel and we're feeding, we're giving vitamins, we are nurturing the earth versus asking for earth to ground us, for earth to do something for us. It's we're taking responsibility for the ability to offer back to this beautiful, beautiful cosmic being that we're blessed to
mhm.
be walking on. And so I just love that perspective, because it's a subtle but very poignant and very important. I just wanted
Yes.
to point that out. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Because the other thing is that people say, well, how do you know I'm a healer? How do you know, how can I see that I'm a healer? I said, well, it's simple. Put your hands up like this again. Put your hands and just
Hmm.
about a foot apart and tighten up your gut and tell me what you feel, you know? And just put your hands
Oh, it
like this
increases the
and
pressure.
pressure. But what is that pressure? How is it pressure? How
You
is it
can't see me,
pressure?
but I'm doing
I
it.
know, but how is it pressure? Remember,
It's
our
like
body,
tingly. I can.
yeah, our
Mm-hmm.
body is about 80% or more water. It is
Hmm.
creating hydroelectric in our body,
Will you
right?
explain that? What that means? Hydroelectric.
Hydroelectric is, energy being produced by motion. Our water is motioning in our bodies the whole time. Whether we're asleep, whether we're walking, whether we're running, whatever we're doing, that water is being moved around. It's motion, and motion creates energy. You know, hydro frequency. So the reason why when you do that and tighten up your stomach is because, again, back I'm gonna go back to Jesus. Why did they pierce his hands when they crucified him? His hands and the bottom of his feet. That's how we connect to the universe.
Mm.
Our hands connect to the universe. Our feet connects to Mother Earth. They didn't sacrifice him on put nails in his hands and his feet for nothing. They knew what they were doing. The dark knew what they were doing when they did that to him. You know, and and when they tried to stop it, it didn't happen. He still we still have this energy because back again, reason why I like to use the Bible. I never read the Bible, but these scriptures come to me. Matthew chapter 10, chapter 10, verse 7 through 13. Jesus said, freely I give you authority to heal the sick, raise the dead, and to remove all dark spirits. Now, freely I give you this authority. So, you know, we can. We can heal the sick, we can raise the dead, we can remove all dark spirits. That's why we have to understand about cleansing, cleansing, connecting to the plants, connecting to what? The spirit of things. And that's another subject that I talk about. How we connect with plants because everything on Mother Earth has a spirit. Whether it's plants, whether it's bugs, whether it's this wood on the table, whatever. Everything has a spirit, And so when we connect with all these creations, we get stronger, we get open-minded, we learn things from them. One of my tests
Yes.
as I was growing up was that they told me, follow that ant for an hour and tell me what it did. The whole time you're following it, remember what he does and what he did. Man, you talk about I didn't go about maybe 2 feet, but that ant did so much things. I could not remember
Wow.
all it did. And it says that's
Wow.
how we should be. That's how we should be. And so I said, wow, okay, okay. So
That's a
and
simple,
then the
beautiful
elders used to tell us,
observation.
yeah, the elders used to say sleeping and eating is a waste of time. I said, why? Don't we need our rest? I said, you get plenty of rest when you move on. But I said, okay, you know, and
Were
everything
there
is
any
so spiritual.
were there any
Go ahead.
consolation specific consolations that they spoke about? Or
No,
specific
because it
stars?
on the specific stars. Well, we had
Mm-hmm.
a stargazer when I was growing up because before the Spanish explorers coming to Zuni, we didn't live on calendars. We didn't live on monthly or yearly basis. We had a stargazer that would go out and look at the stars every night. And with the alignment of the stars, he knew exactly what time of the year it was, when people can plant, when people need to start harvesting, when summer solstice is coming around, when winter solstice is coming around, when the monsoon season is coming around. All this he knew. He was like our weatherman. He would tell us in advance how it's going to be. So we had stargazers. And with the stargazing, you know, and even as today, when the big deep dipper starts coming off a northeast corner of the mountain, when he starts coming out of there, we know it's time, you know, to haul wood and start getting your fireplace ready because it's going to be a long winter. Or when it shifts to south, summer's coming around the corner. So uh, you know, the stars did have a lot. And you know, what is so sad nowadays is that our hieroglyphs have contact with the space beings. And the elders used to tell me that, when you have contact, with the hires, with this higher source or whatever, it's gonna be a contact with energy. And I said, what do you mean energy? He says, it's gonna be energy because your body is not gonna leave Mother Earth. Just like that tree has energy and will connect with you energetically, but physically y'all can connect. And so I had a friend that was a tree hugger. I never could figure out why she loves to hug trees, but once I tried it once, I see why. They love to share energy. It's just like
Yeah.
we breathe out carbon dioxide, they take in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen, and we're breathing oxygen and break out. So that's how we're sharing with the trees. So everything is like that. Even with the ants, even with the grasshoppers, even the snakes, you know, and and all throughout our oral history, each animal did a certain things for us to where, like when we first got out of the underworld, in order to cross the river, the frog gave us the webbed hands so we could swim across the river, when we came out of the underworld, rather than trying to, walk across it because there was no way with the current we could have walked across. So, with the webbed hands, we swam across it. So that was the frog. That's all. We got our frog clan, and my matrilineal clan is frog clan. And my
Oh, you
patrilineal
are
is
Brooklyn.
so.
Okay. And
Go
your
ahead.
patrilineal was what? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, go ahead.
Who was your patrilineal?
My patrilineal is more of a bird, which is turkey and eagle. That's on my dad's
Mm.
side. On my mother's side is more water clans, which is frog and and they call them we call them mutuluka, which is like you know like a water lizard. Out there in New Mexico, they got them out there everywhere, but they're not frogs, they're not lizards, but they we just call them mutuluka, you know,
Mutulu.
and see, and that's just part of the things we go by, And the turkey clan, why that came into clan is because if you look at the turkey tail feather, it's spotted. It's spotted with brown, gray, black, and all that with stripes on it. And that's because during the Great Flood, when the turkey got the last message trying to help save the last bit of the people, the flood waters were came, and as the flood waters were coming, the turkey, they run a long ways before they could even fly. So as it was running, the flood waters came, and he finally took off, and the tail of the turkey was in the flood waters to where all that trash from the flood waters got on his feathers. So that's why we got a turkey feather like that.
Oh, wow. I love that.
And another one that we always use a lot, which we tease each other about back home, is the two eggs. There's a colorful egg and there's just a regular blue egg. The colorful egg, when we got from the fourth underworld, came to a place called Hantapinka. Zuni, I guess the tribe, not just Zuni, but everybody got big to where the two warriors that was with us, which I believe, again, my hypothesis says that it was Inki and Inlea. They came and they said,
Hmm.
okay, we got to split you all up because this tribe is getting too big. So those that picked the blue egg will be right here. Those that picked the colorful egg will be north. So the blue egg is going to go south. The colorful egg is going to stay north. And they said, okay. So when they picked it, well, they all the male went to one side, and all this. So they said, wait a minute, we got to mix both of y'all up. So they lined up all the men, and the women rolled the egg. Wherever the egg rolled, that was their partner, and they partnered them up like that, rolling the eggs. And at one point, when the eggs hatched, those that went south, the blue egg became a macaw parrot, and that's why the macaw parrots are down south. The one that
Huh.
had a colorful egg that hatched was a crow, and it stayed north. That's why we have crows around the northern area. And so the crow people that followed the crow eggs got mad, and they said, why is their bird colorful and ours is just black? And they said, no, your bird is colorful bird too. No, it's a black bird. They said, no, pick out a feather and look at it in the sunlight. And if you ever pick a crow feather and look at it in the sunlight, you see a rainbow of colors in that crow feather. So,
Yes, I actually pick them up often. What are your thoughts about Enlil and Inky and conducting genetic manipulation experiments on Earth?
well, Inky and Inlao, in our migration story, they led us from the third underworld or the fourth underworld to where we are now. And from there, when we settled and started, they taught us how to build. But again, I believe that, you know, it was the space beings that helped us build our ancient Anasazi ruins. Because if you look at it, everything is so symmetrical. The kivas are so perfectly round. How can they build a perfectly round kiva without any type of instruments, building instruments? Or how could they make a
Yeah.
perfect corner of a 90-degree corner without any kind of a tool, to build it that perfect, you know? So, you know, it's like they say it's how they built the Great Pyramid. Everything is so perfect, symmetrical, and the Anasazi ruins are like that. Back home, the ones that they excavated. You go look at them. Everything is just perfect to a T. And it's unbelievable. You know.
You
But
know, speaking of bringing it back to the three eye atlas, uh, there's some very interesting calculations that are biblical in nature, and I'm not educated enough to speak on them. I did send you a link to a mathematician whose name is David Serrata, and he brings all of
uh,
these calculations into how he feels about it. But that said, what I did find interesting is that this three eye atlas is mapping just so perfectly that it's going to be the closest to Jupiter in Easter, or each Easter time, March 21st, spring solstice of 2026, and it will be closest to Earth in winter solstice of this year. I
mhm.
just thought that that was kind of fascinating.
Well,
I think that may be a
again,
tangent.
they again, it's a changing of the cycles,
Mhm.
and if you go back further with the Hopi prophecy again, with all the native prophecies, not just Hopi. The only reason why I refer to Hopi is because they're the only ones that have theirs documented on YouTube. And that is, so if you listen to it, the first one, the first, you know, change was water. First cycle was water. And to me, at that time, that was the time of the great flood, you know. So that created a real good, interesting, you know, talk about water. All the flood stories, and all the native cultures. The Great Flood, even in the Bible, it talks about that. But in the Bible, they said Noah was the only one that survived, but no, there was other people that survived. Even as far as um, the reptilians and the Anunnakis even survived the Great Flood. So the whole Earth wasn't really destroyed because there are other tribes that survived too. But anyway, then the second cycle from water to fire. And that water to fire was a time when when I guess everything was catching on fire. Everything was catching on fire to where when the winter came, the ice age happened to where, you know, nobody was expecting the ice age, and to where it changed a lot of the structures on Earth. And then when it finally melted and went back to normal, you know, this is because of the pole shift. And the Hopi blue and red Kachina are talking about the next pole shift, which is the transitioning from the animal cycle into the human cycle. And
Mhm.
we're so high in technology that, you know, they say we don't know what's going to happen, but this is how they try to tell people, you know, it's happening. You know, so all I can say is that if it happens, I'll be ready. Raise your vibration. Raise your vibration. You will see. When you manifest, how things are really really happening, because you know and how powerful you are when you manifest, because some of the things that we do as natives is that out in New Mexico we get real bad dust storms. And if you have a dust devil coming out in front of you or coming towards you, you know, you just muster up your energy, lick your thumb and point at that dust devil and push it away from you. And you can literally push that dust devil away from you. You know,
Wow.
it's happened. I've seen it. I've done it. I believe it. And it's all about your belief, and who you are. So, you know, did we
And
catch
are
her?
these
Go ahead.
on your, oh, sorry, let me do this. Are you in your, jeez, let me just,
I couldn't hear you. You're got a bunch of echoes right now. So, are you there? There you are.
yes,
I couldn't hear you because it was echoing.
but
So, but
uh,
go ahead. I can hear you better.
okay. Um, are you're in your mentorship program on your website?
Yeah.
Do you go over these things? What kind of things do you talk about in your mentorship program?
Well, what I talk about is basically each person is different. Each person is different, and some people are healers. Some people want to learn about how to raise their vibrations. Some people want to learn about what next and protection, cleansing, whatever they want to learn about. I it's open. You tell me what you want to learn about, and we'll start from there. Is what I do. That's why I have an initial meeting when I kind of like interview you and see where you are spiritually, what you want to do, how to enhance your spiritual life, or how to raise your vibration and how to stay connected, how to get connected, and all this. When people ask about that, it gives me an idea of where to start with them. So it just varies on what they want to
Mhm.
learn about. So that's where I'm at with
Is
that.
is there anything else that you want to talk about
Well,
or that you'd
I
like to
just
share with the audience?
I just think that we did a good job. We've been on here long enough to where we don't want to bore everybody out, but there's always next time. And all I can say is that under that One Nation Tribal Alliance, we do have a Facebook page that people can join. We do also have a YouTube channel which I do videos on, and my last three videos that I've done was on raising your or who are you as far as understanding your vibration, your frequency, and your energy. And then I talk about, just various topics about, you know, being who you are, raising yourself, elevating your vibration, elevating yourself, and staying out of that chaos that's going
Yes,
on out
your
here.
most recent videos were
So,
I really appreciated your last videos. They were really needed, very articulate, and just I suggest everybody go to your YouTube channel and watch your latest videos. And please visit Greg's website. His mentorship program is incredible. I recently joined the mentorship program and it it's awesome. So far, so good.
yes. Well, thank you for
Greg,
allowing
thank you
me to
so much.
share on your
I
channel.
apologize. I got a little distracted with my camera going out. I apologize for the disruption. And
That's
I would
okay.
love to have you back.
Okay. Well, you got my number, so just give me a holler when you get a chance. When you're ready for it, we'll pick
I
out a topic and
will.
we'll go for it.
Thank you for sharing your time, Greg. It means a lot. And all of my best to you and your partner.
All right. Well, thank you. You have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. Bye
I
bye.
will. You do the same.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye.